welcome to the Point Blank Youth Foundation broadcast, a very special series where we ask major artists to come in and talk to you, the young people of the vibrant borough of Hackney. So this is an exclusive interactive broadcast designed to help engage and inspire you guys, where we welcome none other than international recording artist and ambassador for UK Youth, Sway.
How you doing, fella? You right?
Good, man, good. Just before we get started, you might be asking kind of what the Youth Foundation project is all about. Well, here at Point Blank, we believe in music as a power for social change. And since the recession, there have been government cuts that have led to kind of less funding around for youth projects and youth activities. So we stepped in and decided to play a part in this ourselves and bring projects like this to you guys at home. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome along, Sway. Quick round of applause in the studio. Yeah. How you doing, man? You good?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Very well, very well. Kind of the first thing I wanted to ask about is really how things started out for you, really. You know, you've had a really expansive career from the kind of This Is My Promo mixtapes that you self-released right the way up to, you know, winning a BET award, for example. So how did it all start? How did you originally get into music?
Well, basically, I've always had a love for music since I was a very young, well, since I was a baby, basically. You know, I was born in London, and I spent, you know, my early part of my childhood in Ghana. So, like, probably like the first 3 years of my childhood was spent in Ghana, West Africa. And so when I came back, you know, like, I couldn't actually speak any English because I'd spent my developing, like my early development of talking, speaking Tree, which is a Ghanaian dialect, and that kind of lasted a while in school. That when I first got to school, I was like a bit slow on English and stuff, and so I had to make an extra effort, and that's why I kind of like excelled pretty early when it came to words and literature, because I had to make an extra effort to keep up. I ended up doing more. So that combined with my my love for music had me really initially just I was a bit of a joker in school, and you know, I used to just take the pee a bit, and you know, I used to take like school songs and change the words and make them rude to make other kids laugh. And at that point I didn't actually realize that early on that I was actually developing the skills for rapping or building a rap career until I got to secondary school, and I started taking that kind of mentality of being able to be a bit humorous at the same time, take something and flip it around spontaneously, and I took that to the battle rapping scene, and I ended up doing pretty well.
Lyrics were the first thing for you. That was the.
It was totally separate worlds for me. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciated music a lot, but I wasn't really keen on being a rapper. I just appreciated music and I appreciated rap. But it was only when, you know, I started using the equipment and learning on the equipment that, you know, maybe I could place my raps to my own music and start making my own songs. And this was in secondary school, so around about the age of 14.
And at that time, you know, obviously kind of developing in music, do you have specific influences that you're drawing from? You know, were there people that were around you inspiring you, or you know, being in London, or what was that kind of initial inspiration?
I've always had a strong musical background. My mum and dad are both into music, you know, all different kinds, from reggae to high life music, which is originated from West Africa, you know, to madness. You know, we had everything in my household, and you know, and I was heavily exposed to the TV and MTV, and I've always been one of the biggest Michael Jackson fans. And you know, I think it was my 5th birthday I was bought the Michael Jackson Thriller album, and for my birthday, from one of my aunties, and I'll never forget that, because that up to this day it's still one of my favorite albums. And that album really did kind of like spearhead my career into music, because you know, I've always used Michael Jackson as a role model in the way that he is able to kind of like merge so many different genres and just become one kind of thing. So it's like people who are into rock music and into Michael Jackson could appreciate him. Jazz can appreciate him. It wasn't just rap, or it wasn't just rock, or it wasn't just Brit pop. Sorry, it wouldn't be Brit pop.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
just pop.
Yeah.
It was like all different kind of genres. So I'd always looked up to Michael Jackson. But my influences, to be honest with you, when it comes to my raps, it stems from anywhere, absolutely anywhere. You know, I could take any kind of subject matter, and that was one of my strengths throughout my mixtapes, was the fact that, you know, we were coming from a scene of people who, you know, felt the need to always rap about maybe the street life and maybe gang culture or violence, and I didn't really feel like I had to be forced to rap about those things, because there's so many other things that you could pick, and in turn, like, actually my subject matter is what made me unique, because at a time where people were coming from more like the street angle and talking about these kind of things, I had a record about credit cards, because you know, I saw that kind of situation happening to a lot of people around me. You know, I was 18, and, you know, a lot of people around me were getting credit cards and getting themselves into masses of debt, and I decided that I was going to make a record later down the line, which kind of played on that, and I called it Flow Fashion, and it was all about me getting a credit card, overspending it, and running myself into masses of debt.
I think, you know, for me, definitely something that, you know, is a massive appeal with your music is that element that you talked about with Michael Jackson, you know, the fact that it's relatable.
Yeah.
You know, for me, for someone, you know, in a city, for someone much younger than me, older than me, you know, is that something that's, you know, a kind of conscious decision, or is important to you?
I mean, it's very conscious, because I like people to understand what I'm trying to convey. It's all great being able to rap, and it's all great being able to make music, but if nobody gets it, then there's no blessing in it. There's no satisfaction in it. So sometimes you have to, you know, you can't have a conversation about things you just want to have a conversation. You have to figure out what the general conversation is, and have your opinion or your take or your angle on that, and then people can participate, and people are much more open-minded to it. So it was a very conscious decision for me to say, you know what, I'm not really gonna shy away from certain issues that might be seen as uncool to rap about, for the sake of being uncool. If people are gonna deem me as a cool artist, they're going to do that anyway, from the way I present myself, and from the way that I rap, and from my history of how I managed to become a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I was born and raised in a council estate environment, but it didn't have to be me. You know what I mean? Everything about my raps didn't have to be about, oh, we're from a council estate and there's this problem and that problem. You know, there's other problems, but there's also other great things that you could talk about,
I mean,
being from those
community and
environments.
everything,
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it's like I went to a school called Highgate Wood, which is a pretty cool school, in the sense that of where it was located. You know, it's located in an area called Crouch End, and Crouch End is a really like affluent area. It's really you know, a lot of people with, you know, money, you know, live in Crouch End. But at the same time, it's just right near Wood Green, which is, you know, no disrespect to Wood Green. I mean, it's not as affluent as Crouch End, and then you got Hornsey, which is kind of like in the middle. Then you got Muzzle Hill, where, you know, I mean, the house prices like start from $500,000 and up, and you know, so I'd managed to have all of those influences. So I saw it wasn't just like a dead end environment for me. It wasn't like I looked out my window and that's all you see, because you look out your window and you might see another council estate, but on the other side of that, you see houses that are worth $500,000 and up. So there's always a mentality that, you know, we don't have to be stuck here. We can make it to that side, because it's just only over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I decided not to engulf myself in the whole stereotypical kind of street music route.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we've actually got one of your slightly earlier tracks, I think, Up Your Speed.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get a quick listen to that. And also, for you guys watching at home, don't forget it is your chance to ask any questions you've got for Sway. So get posting in the integrated chat room, and we'll fire those over in just a sec.
London, up your speed. Manchester, up your speed. Milton Keynes, up your speed. Bristol, Birmingham, up your speed. Nottingham, up your speed. But please, don't kill anybody now. Position, they ain't even gonna what hit him. It's that brother named Sway, repping the UK. Long side already, you're taking everybody for a ride. this. Yeah. Find me on the web like spiders. Yeah. www.decipher. .co.afro. Callous on the rhythm like I don't give up.
I'm on it. Hair that click under my chin, strapped on my helmet. About touring the town, I'm hell-bent, but I'm all shook up like Elvis.
With the engine, rep it well, stamp your feet and bob your head like an Essex girl.
2 hands on the steering at the spinny wheels, and from a distance it looks like we're moving still.
Tuck them down to knees, then go back up to wood green, and we're travel down Brum. Hands in Liverpool, Cardiff and Milton.
So yeah, we just heard Up Your Speed. I think that's from 2005, right?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And what was the kind of inspiration behind that tune?
At the time, I joined the Def Jam street team, which was a street team run by DJ Semtex, and I was a street team kid, basically hopping out of vans and hanging up boards for other artists, American artists, UK artists, and hoping that we don't get caught by the police. You know what I mean? 'Cause it was actually illegal at the time, and flag posting and stuff. But the reason why I did this is because I wanted to meet more people in the music industry, and so we would have to deliver new like CDs to DJs the day it came out. So we'd have to go to the radio stations and meet DJs, and I wanted to meet them and see who was who, because you know I knew that I wanted to embark on my own career. And so while we were doing that, we were going all around the country. We were going to different places like Birmingham, Manchester, like all the major cities, and some of the smaller cities as well, like Wellingborough. You know, we found ourselves in Wellingborough. So, and everywhere we'd go, we'd hear like at that time, US hip hop was a lot more, was dominating within the UK scene. Yeah, I mean, it was, if you talked about rap and hip hop music, it was mainly US rappers that you looked to. And I felt like we never had a record that represented all these places that I'm going to. Like, we don't have a record that is talking about London, Newcastle, Manchester. And we were on the road at the time. Like, we were literally in the Def Jam van. And that's where I came up with the concept of Up Your Speed. Right, you know what I mean? And it was a play on the word Up Your Street. For us. And I mentioned Hereford. I mentioned Wellingborough. I mentioned Manchester. And nobody had heard some of these names in a rap song before. You know what I mean? And I also sampled the Fleetwood Mac record, the record that is well known for being the Formula One. I'd sampled that just to get for something, but I remixed it obviously, just to get familiarity that it was something that was coming from our side of the pond. And I recorded the record, and the record took off more than I could have possibly imagined, simply because it was different, and I was really proud of that record, and I'm it's there for people to see, but it's part of UK rap music history. You know, a lot of times when people talk about that era of music, people use Up Your Speed as an example of how the times will change. Yeah, most definitely. For me, that is a kind of point, really. It kind of leads me on to my next thing as well. I was going to ask, you know, for lots of the guys watching at home who are looking to break into music, to the creative industries in general, you know, you talked about kind of overcoming those initial obstacles. I mean, what advice do you have for those guys to break and to kind of be seen and get heard, really? I'd say that you have to understand, be honest with yourself, be honest with where you're at, be honest with who you are, be honest with the level of your ability. You know, so some artists, some people are great singers, incredible singers, or incredible rappers, but don't get anywhere. And there's some people who are not so good, but get really far. You know, I wouldn't say not so good, not as good as those incredible rappers. And that's because of the mentality that they have. You know, some people know that, look, I'm not Mariah Carey. So I stay within my comfort zone when I'm singing. You know, I stay in my range. Don't go for those heights. Yeah, not to overexpose myself. And other people do the opposite of where, you know, they don't want to be seen as trying too hard, and so they don't try it hard enough, and they don't get there. You got to find a balance. You got to be honest with yourself. Okay, what's my selling point? You know what I mean? Like, you can't listen to your friends all the time. Your friends are always going to tell you that you're great at everything. Most friends would not want to hurt your feelings. So when you're coming up, they'll tell you, "Oh, this song's alright," blah blah blah. You know, you have to put yourself in the firing line. Go out there to live shows. When people start talking in the middle of your set, you know you're doing something wrong. You're not holding their attention. You find new ways to engage them. You know, you have to put yourself in the deep end. And I feel like You know, I've been in the game since 2003 to now. It's like 10 years. I've watched and seen a lot of people come, a lot of people go, and a lot of people manage to maintain. And the people who have managed to maintain and the people who are still being brought up in the conversations from that era are the people who were honest with themselves. They understood what their niche was. They understood what their selling points were, and they put themselves in situations out of their comfort zone, and that's how they managed to expand. So, artists, a lot of artists, a lot of great people sit behind the TV or sit behind the laptop and say, better than Sway, I'm better than Kane, or I'm better than Dizzy, I'm better than all these guys. That mentality is not going to get you anywhere. Prove it. If you're better, let the action speak. Go out there. You know what I mean? Go to live shows, because you might be shocked. You might think you're better than all these people because you're doing incredible things in your bedroom, and to you there's no criticism, so there's no obstacle. But when you go out to a live show, everybody goes to the bar when you're on stage. Then look, I need to go back and fix. I need to talk about things that these people are interested in. So honesty is the best part.
Excellent advice, most definitely. We've got a couple of questions actually. So from B6, the guys at B6 School have asked, what advice would Sway give to anyone who wants to make money from their music?
Money's a tricky subject when you talk about doing things you love. If money is your incentive, do something else. From a creative point of view, because you make money from doing what you love, and you make money from hard work, the genuine, you give, money is just like a kind of a reward for all the hard work you've put in. If people are just like, I can rap, I've seen rappers, drive fast cars and wear big jewelry and get all the girls in the club and buy loads of bottles, and I'm rapping for that reason, do something else. Play the lottery. You probably got a better chance. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like do something else. But if you're saying, you know what, this is my life, I want to sell my creative ability to the masses, in order to maintain a living, you end up probably surpassing your goal, because you're more concerned with supplying for the people. You're more
creating a
concerned
piece
with,
of
with
art.
your fan base. There's artists that don't go platinum, but they sell loads of small units over a long period of time, which sustains a healthy lifestyle. So in terms of making money, you just have to. That comes with the hard work and the dedication. If your main incentive is to make money, then I think, me personally, my personal advice is the entertainment world is not, the music creative process is not. Maybe, Big Brother or something like that, if you want to make money.
I think, what ties into that is the fact that, if you're honest with your work, like you said, a little bit earlier, and you put in the work, the money will follow.
It's just common sense. It's common sense. You give to get, and you've got to give something genuine to get something genuine. People can have one-hit wonders. You can have people that come together and just the energy's right and the chemistry's right, the timing's right, everything's right, and people just buy into that record. But because there hasn't been a long span of thought process that's gone behind it, it's very hard to replicate. You know what I mean? So you have one-hit wonders. If you want to be a one-hit wonder, jump in every single studio and see what happens. Lottery. It can happen. You know what I mean? But it's not likely. But when you sit back and you plan and you have a strategy for how you want to move forward, and you understand where you're at, you understand who your market are, then you can last in this game for a long time. Cool.
We've got a couple more questions. Clapton Girls Technology College have asked, I think we might have kind of gone into this one slightly earlier. Do you write your own music, and how have you progressed in your career?
I write my own rap lyrics. I write my own rap. Sometimes when I feature with artists, I do write their parts as well. I have helped other artists write their raps as well. I think it's important as an artist, for me personally, as an artist, to have a strong influence in what you say, because at the end of the day, people don't see the writers; they see you as
Yeah.
the artist.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so if you're saying something that you don't agree with, it stays with you. You know, and once you put a record out there, to the public, you can't get it back, and you can't explain to every single person.
Can't give everyone context,
Yeah,
can
like
you?
oh,
Yeah,
I never wrote that line,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
John wrote that line and Peter wrote that line. You don't have that time, so you have to know that whatever is being written for me, or whatever I'm a part of, I have to represent, or I have to be able to explain why I felt this way, or why I chose this subject matter at the time. In terms of my career, I've been very fortunate. You know what I mean? Like I said, coming out in the game, like my first album was 2006, and I've had a very interesting progression. You know, like I came out at a time period where, rappers and urban artists weren't charting left, right, and center. You know, urban music wasn't known as the pop of the UK music scene, and so a lot of people past my my era was really my first album. This Is My Demo was kind of like the pinnacle of where UK hip hop could go at the time. It was, it was really like, we'd done really well, Mercury Music Prize, Mobile, etc. But then after that time came came people charting, people getting top 40s, top 30s, top 20s, top 10s, #1 records. And by my third album, This Campaign Now, I remember, before I released Still Speeding, people were kind of like, because I hadn't released something for a while, people were kind of like, Sway, the game's changed quite a lot since, your last project. And it's nice to know that, you've managed to maintain, and you've done so many collaborations, and you're still out there earning a living and doing shows, and, but now people are expecting a chart position, you know what I mean? Like you release a record and people are expecting it to sell. And so, I was pretty nervous about that, because, people were putting that, but then I just thought to myself that if I just continue just doing what I love, then, I'm surely it can connect with people. And if it doesn't, maybe you have to bow out gracefully and just say, time to move on to something else. And unfortunately for me, we were hoping for a top 40 record with Still Speeding, and we got a top 20 record. You know what I mean? So that kind of it built up the momentum for the Sway campaign again and again. Right after that, we released Level Up, and we were hoping, like, we got a top 20 record. Be great to get another top 20. We do things in stages. I mean, a lot of people say, aim for the best, and it's nice to say, yeah, I want to get #1. But if there's so many different factors that come into play with getting a #1 record, other than the fact that the song has to be great, that you can't put that pressure on yourself. Because if you put that pressure on yourself and you get a #2 record, or a #3, or a top 10, then it could be seen as a failure, when that is a massive achievement in the bigger scheme of things. And so we put the second single out, and that went top 10. And so it kind of proved my theory right, that if you just really follow your heart and always like be true to what you want to do, and at the same time understand the change in the climate, the change in the sound, but always maintain to be yourself, then you can continue to progress in this game. And so if I release another 2 albums, I'll be happy. I mean, I've made a healthy career for myself.
I think as well, there's something in that, at that stage, you're kind of in a similar dilemma to maybe someone starting out. I want to stay true to myself, but this is on trend, or this is, what's getting a #1 at the moment. Do I, go down that route, or do I, do what, I want to do and stay true?
Yeah.
I think, the fact that it pays off is amazing advice for the guys watching out there, most definitely. Let's have a quick look and see if we've got any more questions coming through. Let's have a look. Here's a good one. Rasheen has asked, which song of yours is your favourite?
Oh wow. Actually, my favourite song, and I know this is gonna sound like a plug, but my favourite song is actually not released yet.
Right.
It's called The Deliverance song.
It's off the new
the
album.
album's called The Deliverance. So this is the title track from that song. Why it's my favourite song is because it was, I wrote it in complete utter state of like what's the word? Flow.
Okay.
You know,
Just
wa-
in the zone.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah, yeah.
totally. It was like I put on the headphones. I knew what I wanted to do. The concept was I wanted to take one word and manipulate that word to create a story. So doing loads of different things and placing letters in all different places. And I was like, this is gonna take a while. I didn't know how to approach it, and I had the beat. The beat was exactly where I wanted it to be. I put on the headphones, and an hour later, it was done.
Wow.
And me consciously never played a big role in that writing process. Like I could have been dreaming for all I know.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
yeah, yeah.
it just, now when I listen back to it, it just all came together. And I don't know whether that's years of rhyming experience or just a eureka moment, but I just loved the record so much because of the way it wasn't overthought. It was just delivered. So that is probably one of my best songs. And
That
I'd
sounds
say,
like a good one to choose. I mean, the fact that
Yeah.
it's straight from the gut, from the heart.
Yeah.
There's hardly much of a thought process. Obviously, the original concept, but then
Yeah.
the actual, the way it
Yeah,
comes
the
together.
actual recording process was great, and I think my favorite verse, it changes all the time, but my favorite verse would probably be the one from the Ed Sheeran EP, Nightmares. Only because I listen back to that and I just pick out little things that I said that I don't remember thinking about at the time, so I listen to it back as a stranger as opposed to the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's have a look. We've got another one who has asked, what do you think about the current state of grime, and what are your thoughts on the trap movement?
I think that the trap movement, the grime movement, it's all the same family.
Yeah,
It's all the same thing. I mean, I understand the use of labels, and when sounds follow a specific route, they need to be labeled in order to put them in the right places and have the right people search for them in the right way. But to me, it's all hip hop. I mean, grime, and this is something that people from the grime scene have argued quite a lot and quite strongly about. I've always seen grime as a form of hip hop. A lot of grime people have said, no, it's not hip hop, it's ours. But then you take and you look at what hip hop is essentially. It's a diverse style of beats, that have been influenced from other genres, be it jazz, be it dance, be it Afro beat, whatever, with rappers on it. You know what I mean? So, and that's all why, in my earlier days coming out, people didn't know whether to call me a grime MC or a hip hop artist, because I would go from one to the other. And now there's so many rappers. I think the whole rap scene is in that lane now. You can't predict what a rap artist from this country is going to come out with next in terms of the sound. It could be a dance record,
which is a good thing.
It's an incredible thing. So in terms of all the labels, and some people say grime's dead. You know what I mean? Well, grime's always been alive. You know what I mean? It was alive before it even had the title.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it could have been described as hip hop at the time.
Okay. Cool. As we're kind of approaching the end of the session, let's see. The guys from B6 College have asked, when you refer to, I think when we've asked questions, you refer to we. Do you have like a team, managers, producers, etc.?
Yeah. I have a team of people. Decipher Productions is the label I founded. I run that with a few people. And we're signing artists at the moment. We have 2 artists that we're focusing on predominantly at the moment. One called Tigger the Author, one called They Call Me Raptor. And we collectively as a team released my first 2 mixtapes and my first album in conjunction with others. And it's important to have a team of people that believe in you. I mean, a movement is a movement, you know? A movement means there's more than one person that believes in what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's great to be an individual and say, yeah, listen to what I've got, blah, blah, blah. When 2 people say it, you know what I mean, ears prick up. When 3 people say it, 4 people say it, you know what I mean? And we have, my team doesn't just consist of the people who are around me. My fan base and the people who are, who follow me on Twitter, they're part of my team. Because I might put out something, you know, I don't have an ego so big that everything I put out has to be loved. I might put out something and people might say, Swain, you know, go back to your old style. We like that more. And that's their opinion, and I take that on board. But if I really genuinely believe in the direction I'm taking, I'll stick with that because I know that maybe it would open a few more doors. But they're my team, nevertheless. My fans A&R my projects, all of them, from the mixtape days to now. My fans A&R my project, as opposed to one person who says, take that out, or take that out, take that out. I like to throw it out there and try new things and see how people take to it.
Yeah. Cool, man. I mean, as we're approaching the end of the session, can you tell us what you got coming up, you know, about the album, etc.?
Yeah, I've got the album Deliverance that'll be out this year. I mean, for me personally, I'd say it's my best album yet because of the way, you know, because of the kind of experience and the things I've gone through in life that have made me who I am today. You know what I mean? I'm proud of my approach with this album. The album's called Deliverance because, you know, it's all about setting your mind free. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about freedom of the mind and not feeling that you have to conform or feeling like you have to be attached to any kind of thing in particular, but being free to make your own choices in life. I mean, you know, Still Speeding's on there, Charges on there, Level Up is on there, and I have a good few features that of people who I've wanted to work with for a while. So.
Okay, cool. Well, you know, you guys at home, make sure you check out the album. And Sway, many thanks for coming down, man.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So yeah, that's it. Another session of the Point Blank Youth Foundation. We'll be back again very soon with another session like this. And obviously keep locked to our Facebook and the blog as well. And that's it from us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Cheers.